Hello, hello. Welcome to RamGoatAstrology. I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Helena.
We're laughing because we just randomly, spontaneously decided what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah, sort of had like a meeting and then like, oh, hang on, should we record while we're talking about that thing? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So we're in creation mode today. I've been in creation mode all weekend. Well, first, we have to preface with I started last Friday out with a total circuitry overload. My electrical panel overheated and blew up. Like I had the patch job of electrical wiring inside of my body was holding up with 4 kids, and then I had 5, and I just hit 6 months with him yesterday, and like the panel didn't work. The patch job didn't work. I needed a whole system upgrade. So Friday I totally just shut down. I didn't get mad. I didn't yell. I didn't do anything. I just stopped talking and I just drank my tea quietly. My kids were like, "What's wrong with Mama? What's going on?" Nobody knew what to do because Mama was quiet.
That's the scariest. When someone's quiet.
Especially me.
Yeah.
And I just shut down. And I wasn't purposefully shutting down. Like it was literally a response mechanism, right? My body was protecting itself. Somehow I was going into like major system protection mode. And I just disappeared. I went into the bedroom and I just journaled and journaled and journaled. I think I wrote 5 pages. And if the kids came in to ask me a question, I'd answer it. But there was no behind it. There was no anything behind it. It was just blah. And my husband knew he was definitely the trigger. And it was because on Friday I was supposed to work. So now we're both entrepreneurs and we homeschool. So our life is very fluid, and he's been building his bakery business and it's been going well. And he got a whole bunch of flour delivered. I'm talking like 8 bags of 25 pounds of flour, just huge bags of flour. So he could make all this gluten-free stuff. And I'm great, glad. But he decided to take my work day and go to town and leave me with 4 out of the 5 kids so he could go get containers for his flour. Even though I had clearly communicated I need to work, because inside of me, I was feeling all of this intense creation. Like I really needed to get this out. There's these packages I'm creating, and there's this, and I'm working on the Cosmic Mama Collective, and it's coming out of me. And I'm very fluid. And when I feel like I have to do something, I got to go that way. But I had to be mama. And 2 of the 2 babies were sick, and they each had a head cold, and I was stuck. And I was so mad. And my Mars in Libra was getting so resentful. And then I messaged you and you were like, "Oh yeah, it's a Mars square Pluto today and tomorrow too." And I was like, "Oh shit." Shit. And then I looked, and that Mars square Pluto happened to be landing with Mars on top of my Pluto in Libra, in respect and harmony and relationship. And I was not feeling very respected. I was not feeling very harmonious, and I was not feeling relationship. So Friday and Saturday, I just totally imploded. And I told my family, I will be out in my studio office. I'm not mad. I'm just leaving. I'm going to go live out there for a while. If you need me, that's where I'll be. And I was like, my voice was different. So that implosion then allowed me to create a whole bunch of stuff. And I've been in creation mode ever since. And now you and I got on, and the first thing we started doing was getting into creation mode for our new workshop we're putting together.
Yeah, I've been feeling that mode as well. Like last night, I couldn't go to bed, so I ended up making apple sauce, baking a cake. This was like 10 p.m. I took the trash out. I went down to the garden. I wrote a poem, and I drew a sketch for the first time in ages. I was just like creating all over the place. Like it was poems, it was cakes, it was
that's so
taking trash out. Yeah. So anyway,
so amusing. So I love that we jumped on And we're creating this workshop because it's been such a pleasure to create this podcast. Like, I've never done anything like this so consistently and for so long. And I've been so enjoying it. And I feel like it now is the time to start going bigger. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Like that expansion of, okay, you've been playing around and you got some solid foundation now. Now it's time to get a little bigger, right? Go a little further,
Try
expand a little.
something new.
Try something new. So that led me to asking you if we had ever looked at our composite chart of you and me.
And I don't think so. We've done the synastry chart.
Right. But I don't believe we've done a composite chart, which
yeah,
when I was first learning astrology, I was like, oh my God, somebody please explain what the hell this is.
I was going to say, can you explain for those who don't know what a synastry chart is and what a composite chart is?
Yeah. So a synastry chart is when you take two people's charts and you lay them on top of each other and you leave them there and you just see how the planets are talking to each other, which, how everything lines up. Okay. A composite chart is when you merge the energies together to create a new chart specifically for those two people. So no two composite charts are going to be the same. And it is the energy of how the two of you show up together. So the reason my husband and I rebranded our farm as the Aquarian Acres is because we have an Aquarian 10th house, an Aquarian Sun, Aquarius Venus, and Aquarius, I'm pretty sure Mars. So we, as a couple, are very Aquarian, which is why we're entrepreneurs and homeschool our kids.
Yeah. Do you do the midpoint?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for example, with this midpoint composite chart, if your sun is in, well, let's take ours. So my sun is in Leo, Laura's sun is in. Oh, I'm echoing.
Sorry, I hit a button. Okay, sorry.
That was confusing. So yeah, my sun is in Leo and Laura's sun is in Aries. So that means the midpoint composite chart would make our composite chart sun would be in right in the middle of that. So that would make us like a Gemini. This is our
chart. Yeah,
we're Gemini.
We are, which makes sense why we never shut up.
Yeah. Oh, we're Gemini sun. Yeah. With an Aries rising and a Pisces moon and a Capricorn MC. I like this.
I like this too. I was like, why have we never looked at this chart before? I feel like, duh, this makes so much sense for us. This chart does rock. So it does take the two suns, so my sun and your sun, and it finds the midpoint. And for us, the midpoint happens to be 6 degrees Gemini sun, which is rocking in the first house. And we were just saying a few minutes ago, well, we'll talk about whatever. How long should our course be, our workshop be? 2 hours? No, we should make it 2.5. We have lots of things to say. Yeah. And look at us with this Gemini sun here as a composite chart. That's amusing.
This is so interesting. And also with the, okay, so yeah, we're Gemini sun, so we show up sort of bubbly and inviting and like would like to mingle with people and inviting people on the show and talking to them.
We kind of have that twin energy too.
We do.
Yeah.
We do have that. And we have an Aries rising, which means that it's really like there's a lot of fire in this sort of relationship, and we make things happen, and which is how we started this podcast, because it was just you asking me once, and then it's like, okay, let's do it, let's go for it. And it was from that question to the start was a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So
it was within like a week or two.
Yeah, so we basically just do stuff, like we don't think too much about it.
Now in human design, remind me, are you a projector?
Yeah, I am.
So okay, so your type, projector types, wait for the invitation. So as soon as you're invited, you're like, all right, let's go.
Yes. Yes,
And look at us
that's
go
true.
with this Capricorn 10th house and Capricorn Mars, Capricorn Neptune, Capricorn Ceres. Whew, we are hard workers. I like this. And this is
Yeah.
why we are so consistent, even when it's kind of a stretch and kind of like, oh, we're recording on Wednesday and putting this out on Thursday. We typically like to be a little bit more ahead of time. But even when it's tight, we still do it. Like we are committed and
Yeah.
kind of stubborn about making it happen. I like that.
Yeah, I think that for all of these weeks that we have been releasing episodes, we have been late by one day once, I think. I think once we released it on Friday.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now don't hold me accountable for YouTube because that's not the same. That we get stuff up there, but sometimes it's 3 weeks late and it's 3 episodes at a time.
And we have a 12th house moon, just like we natally do. Both you and I have a 12th house moon in our own separate charts, and we have one together as well.
That's
So we show
interesting,
up
isn't it?
12th house moony.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm trying to figure that one out. Like, how did we show up with a 12th house moon? But
I was thinking too, because it's like feelings are a little bit like it's both this thing that your emotions can be a little bit hidden, a little bit behind the surface, but behind that surface is also that invisible world. So I feel like it's also that we're like it's very in tune with that other world that Neptune sort of rules over, that is the things that you can't see. So it's also behind the veil, and behind the veil is where all of these like spiritual things happen, and that's sort of where our emotions and our needs are behind there. So it's just that maybe also with our relationship it's hard to maybe know exactly what we need. Both you and I have that thing that we always have to remind ourselves, like, what do I need to do? And you were like today, like, can I have a 15-minute shower? I was like, make it 20, please. It's
right.
like
Yeah.
giving ourselves what we need.
And I think intuitiveness as well. I think in
Yeah.
the like we're going on 1.5 years, 2 years now. We've been talking and knowing when it's not a good day to record. Knowing when we just need to talk and just need to feel our feelings and we just don't want to record anything that day. And we're both really good about being super in tune with that. And I've always loved that about that. There are definitely times when we are like, can we just talk? And neither
Yeah.
one of
No.
us
Yeah.
has a problem with that at all.
No. 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 And that's I think that's both our Gemini sun and the Pisces moon that is like super understanding, and then the Gemini is super flexible. That yeah, I think that's why it works. Like, even though it's been so up and down with like we don't record every week, and sometimes we just talk and we end up not recording because it didn't feel good. We just wanted to hang out and talk about something instead. And still we end up releasing every week an episode, because some weeks we recorded 2 and some weeks none. And that intuitiveness, like, I feel like those days when we plan to record but we don't feel like it's both of us who actually feel like it's not a good day.
Yeah.
And we usually end up texting each other like it's not really working out.
Yeah. And we've been very tuned in like that. I know you and I have had definitely some psychic connections that we've seen in our synastry chart. But I think this moon in Pisces in the 12th house also really leans on some psychic abilities in this composite chart as well. And that connectedness that's hard to put words to, but we just know it, right? That inner knowing. This is how people get drawn to each other right here. This kind of energy, when you merge the planets together and you get this new chart and you get to see like, oh, this is why it feels good, or this is why it's this. And you can see things so much differently in synastry. You can see it differently in the composite, but yet the energy still is there. It's still the same understanding. And then for us, the very first planet that shows up in our first house is Venus. So I like Venus in Aries because she softens that fieriness of Aries, and she makes it, I think she makes Aries energy more compassionate, where it can sometimes come across more brusque and kind of, I don't know, selfish a little bit, or a little bit more asshole kind of energy sometimes.
Mm.
When Venus is there, especially in that first house, she can make the compassionate energy come out, more caring fire, not necessarily launching fireballs at people.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we're definitely intense but caring in an intense way. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. We have there's a lot of things in our seventh house, and seventh house is relationship. So uh in our relations with others, we will we will be intense, Pluto
Yep.
in Scorpio. We will
Yep.
make people work hard, Saturn in Scorpio.
Scorpio.
And then we also have Uranus in Sagittarius. So this means that I think that this would happen like also like in sporadical spurts, like boom, you know.
Yeah. Like our random podcasts, and we have someone on and we like,
Yeah.
create revelations with them, or people listen to our podcast and have sudden, shifts in the way they think. And also right next to Uranus is one of my favorite asteroids, and this is Pallas, or Athena. And Pallas Athena is our feminine wisdom. So we are using this negotiation, this chief strategy person next to this independent, rebellious guy in the seventh house. So we help people use their own innate wisdom of their chart to be an independent person, but function within a group and explore new ideas with Sagittarius, and do it while listening to us, which we can then be considered your partner, right? Your partnership with that seventh house. So we are your partners in crime when it comes to using your wisdom to become a rebellious, independent person in a positive way.
Mm.
There you go.
Amazing,
Mic
amazing.
drop.
I also, yeah, I also see this grand fire trine between Uranus in Sagittarius, Venus in Aries, and then Jupiter in Leo.
Yeah, that's hard to
And that
ignore.
is like,
Look at that guy.
yeah, it's fun and spontaneous and big and loving and a little bit chaotic.
A little bit chaos. And I
Um,
love that Jupiter is right in the fifth house in Leo, because that is like matchy, right? Like Leo in the fifth house, that's the ruler of the fifth house. So we've got fun, creativity, hobbies. Like, look at us making this podcast hobby thing and
yeah.
having fun and being big with it. Like, we went big. We launched a podcast into the ethers. In my mind, that's big, right? I know a lot of people that talk about wanting to do stuff and then they just don't. They don't take action. And Jupiter and Leo, that's action.
Yeah, yeah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fire placements. So there is action when it comes to us. There's action. And but then luckily we have a lot of earth also to like
Yes.
to keep us grounded. But uh should we say what we're planning?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we're planning our very first workshop that will be in November. We haven't set the exact date yet, but sometime in late November. And it will be a workshop about the moon and your moon sign. And most of us, I think probably all of you listening to the podcast, know what your sun sign is. That's like what when people ask you like what's your star sign, it's your sun sign. And that's how you shine, basically. It's your like it's your
Identity.
core.
Yep.
Yeah, and we identify a lot with our sun sign, of course. But I think what gave me the the first like big deep dive down and like amazement when I learned about myself was knowing my moon sign. That brought me so much clarity about
Wasn't it
myself
like
and so much.
aha over and
Yeah,
over and over? Like, oh my
it
God.
was.
Like, I kept I remember being in bed reading on the internet how much it connected this Gemini. Like, I finally felt understood in a way that I didn't know anybody could understand me. That was like jaw dropping.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I felt so understood. So I went in between many phases of feelings because I felt sad. I felt very sad reading and like finding out about my moon sign, because I felt that I have not been understanding myself, and I've been not giving myself what I needed, and I've been hard on myself for needing what I needed,
What
because
a
I
good
didn't.
Capricorn moon.
Yeah, because I didn't. But yeah, that's
I've been
very
hard on
Capricorning.
myself. Okay, you
Yeah,
guys,
but
hold on. We got to pause for a second. The Gemini moon lady just said she was so excited to read all about how she feels. And the Capricorn moon just said she felt sad because she was judging herself and being too hard on
yeah,
herself. You guys,
yeah,
this is stupid. I can't even.
yeah. But I do feel like either, like, whatever moon sign you have, a lot of you will feel like, oh, I did not realize I was allowed to give myself that thing that I was needing. And I didn't realize it was okay needing that thing I was needing,
Yeah.
you know? Because we think, especially if you think about children, I think about children in a society and how it's so hard to be that sort of one thing that society asks us to, how to behave in school, how to
Yeah.
behave, how to do things. And a lot of kids can't, of course not, because look at our charts, they're so incredibly different. And putting a child with, like, moon, sun, and rising, let's say in Aries, in school, sitting down, doing monotonous things, that kid is not going to respond well to that. And then you will start thinking that the kid is a problem,
Right.
or has a problem, is not doing something right. When it's not like that, it's just that that's not how this person is supposed to live his life. That's not how this person is gonna, live his or her chart to his
Right.
full potential. And then that kid starts beating down on himself or herself for not behaving or not being able to contribute and be like the rest.
Right.
So that's what was going on a lot in my mind when I was growing up, like, oh, like these aha moments growing up.
They are. And that's so important to understand your moon sign because for me, I think having the moon hidden in the 12th house, I didn't understand these big emotional explosions I would have where everything would just fly out of my mouth and surprise the shit out of me. But now that I have a deeper understanding of the fact that A, it does have to come out my mouth, and B, it is hidden from me. Oh, okay. So when I do feel the floodgates open and I do feel it needing to pour out, I channel it into the right areas, into my journal, to a person that can hold space for me, go for a walk and scream it out in the woods or sing it out or something, right? Like I know how to channel it in way healthier ways, but I didn't get taught that. I had to learn that myself through trial and error. So now with you and I, with this composite chart, we have this 12th house, Pisces moon, and we can intuitively help guide you with feeling your moon energy better, understanding it better, and knowing how to take action in a healthier way to process your emotions or help the people in your life be able to do that. So
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
excited for this workshop.
Me too. And definitely, like you said, it's for you who want to join the workshop. But when we're there, we will be talking about all signs. So then, take note of your partner's moon sign, your kid's moon sign, and you're like, oh, that's what
Mm.
they need. That's how they feel secure and safe.
Yep.
I get it now.
Yeah.
And then you start also realizing why your boyfriend acts the way he does when he's pressed, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Or why your husband will surprisingly out of nowhere punch his hand through the bottom of a laundry basket, right? When it's upside down. Poof. And he's done this, or through a hollow core door. He'll put his fist through a door. And I'm like, this is not typically you. What it just comes out of nowhere like a volcano. Oh, that's Aries moon in the 12th house hidden from you. Oh,
Mm,
okay. You legit are a volcano and you do need to physically hit something. All
yeah,
right. Noted.
yeah. Yeah, and like giving each other so you give yourself this, if I was Philip talking, then I would give myself that space and know that it's okay when this happens, and try and channel it in the right direction, like maybe find a pillow or whatever, take a run, I don't know.
Not my
And
laundry baskets.
not Laura's laundry basket. And also, yeah, for your partner, like mine, who needs to talk. I actually have a lot of people in my near circle who has Gemini moon, like you, and like
Yes.
my sister, and like my boyfriend. And I know that you need to talk.
Your sister has a Gemini moon too?
Yes.
That's funny. And you have a
Yeah,
Venus Gemini.
I do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're like, I love that. I'll hold space for you. I love
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I know that, like, um, when his mouth opens sometimes, and I feel like this is gonna be a long one, then I I just make sure that I'm there and I'm listening, and I don't interrupt, and I'm like really, listen, because I know that this is coming from a very deep space within, and I'm meeting his needs
Yes.
if I'm listening to him.
Yes.
That's when he feels safe and will
And
feel good. Needs to
yeah.
empty it out.
Yeah. Cared for. So yeah,
Yeah.
with you and I with this composite chart, I love that we've got this Venus first house thing, because it is something we can really help people to really learn to love themselves. Like that's what you and I do. That's what I see. Venus in Aries in the first house. We are here to teach people to love themselves, and we do it in
Mm.
a weird way, which is Uranus. And then we're really big and fun about it. But this is the thing. This is a first
Mm.
planet that shows up in our chart, this composite chart, and it's involved in this grand trine in fire. And we are definitely here to help people learn to love themselves and who they are, their independent, unique self. Man, that's fun, isn't it? I like seeing that.
Yes. Yes. I'm so looking forward to this. And we just sort of decided on what it's going to be. So it's going to be about your moon sign, and it will be 2.5 hours ish, and it will be $33 per person.
Yep.
So as soon as we get the
Page
computer
up.
stuff, the
Yep.
page, the stuff up, then we'll post a link here and on Instagram and everywhere. So just make sure to get your ticket, because it's a limited amount of spaces. This is a workshop, so we will be working with you. You will be
Interact.
getting involved and interact with us, which is amazing. And I think that's definitely how you learn the best. Um, yeah, so it's maximum 20 people. So
So what
get
do you
your
think about
spot.
how does this play out with us teaching workshops and doing what we do with Mercury in Taurus opposite Saturn in Scorpio? First house, seventh house access.
Yeah. So Mercury in Taurus first house, maybe the way that I think we have deep lessons about how we communicate to
Mm-hmm.
others, that
Mm-hmm.
we might need learn to um
Think about what we say.
I think so. I think this is definitely showing how we, because it's when you teach people, it's different. You and I sit here and we both have an understanding of astrology, and we can speak this astrology language with each other, but it's totally different talking to a group of people who it might be their first time doing
Yeah.
this. And that is sort of the the thing that we might need to work on. And with Taurus, you need to do it like constantly and thoroughly. So I think that a good thing for us is to really take it step by step, and
Slow
it's
it
really good
down.
that we
Yep.
yeah.
Slow it down. Think first. And I see Saturn in Scorpio about like be mature
Mhm.
about how much pressure you put on yourselves to do a good job, and right, be mature about that. Don't let the pressure of Scorpio Saturn push our mind to the point where we're stumbling on our words, right? Keep it simple. Like you said, take it back to the basics and keep it simple. Don't
Yeah.
over talk or over teach or overshare, which I love to do all of those. It's my favorite thing. All
You
of
like
that
all the overs.
over everything. That's me. So I got to utilize your energy, and then when we merge this together, we can slow it down and we can be mindful about how much we are pushing people to mature, right? Because that could be something where we're maybe pushing them too much. That's Saturn in the 7th house in Scorpio. That looks like could be too much pressure to change,
Mm.
right?
I think this is so great that we are looking at this before doing something like a workshop, because then we can see how we come across and see sort of what we need to focus more on, what comes harder for us, what are our challenges, what is easy, you
Mhm.
know? So just this thing that we saw is like, okay, that's great information for us to have.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
And recognizing that Saturn is square to Jupiter. So these are the two biggest planets in the solar system, and they're having a bit of a challenging, more stubborn conversation. And we have to be mature about how much big fun we are. We can be a little too jovial and a little too optimistic and a little too hot. It's like being in the sun all day, right? You don't
Mm.
stand in the sun all day. You go get under some shade or your skin will turn into a crisp, right?
Yeah.
You have to be mature about how much sunshine you get, especially us northerners, right? You don't
Yeah.
you don't just go bake in the sun right away. You got to ease into it. So I think that Saturn square to Jupiter is reminding us that when we come out of the dark and we
Mm.
do shine bright, we have to maybe just take it back just a little, Jupiter, just a little, just a little.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, I just had an idea, and
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is just a little idea. Maybe we should invite a friend over, a very watery friend who can just like uh help us a little bit in the beginning to get everyone sort of in tune, and with a little meditation maybe. I don't know who that friend might be, but we might be
Okay.
able to find one to just sort of
Yeah.
get us, a little in our
Ooh,
feelings and a little watery.
I agree. I agree. I could see that. Yeah, because
Mm.
the two water planets we've got are Scorpio, which is intense and dark and just intense. And the two planets are power and authority. So that's interesting. And then the other water planet we have is great. It's there, the moon in Pisces, but that's not as easily accessible for us. It's more of an intuitive thing. So I think you're right. Definitely bringing in a watery friend would be a good
Mm.
way to
Okay,
kind
so
of
that we will leave that as a surprise
yeah. There you
for
go.
you.
We got see how we got all these plans.
We're being very open with the planning of this. This is pretty much the planning of
Live
all of our
podcast
business
or workshop.
strategies and ideas. No, but seriously, I didn't realize until now how great this is to use your
Chart, yeah.
composite chart when you're gonna do collaborations with someone.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Pro tip,
What I'm
yeah.
looking at too is Ceres, and she's the asteroid of nurturing and self-care and nourishment, filling your body with good food and everything. And she's up here in the 11th house at 28 degrees Capricorn for us. So 11th house is community. And I think if we're not forming community through our podcasts and our workshops, I don't know what we're doing. Like, so we are helping to nourish people on a foundational level of their own life and to really look at the foundation of their being, right? That Capricorn energy, and find where the cracks are and fix them, right? If the cracks are you don't believe you should feel this big jovial Sagittarius moon that you have, but you feel like you should be more internal and Taurus, right? You are not nourishing yourself properly. So us having this series in the 11th house, we are here to help the community. And doing that, we help people with their foundational understanding of themselves. And that would be that Capricorn work ethic, that Capricorn foundation.
Mm.
I love that for us. I think that's a great placement to have nourishment and nurturing and bucket filling in that community oriented house, but then in that nice solid goat energy that we love so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Wow,
great.
so many things spinning around in my head now, like not in an overwhelming way, but in a like a sort of just starting to like float away a little bit, like with these ideas. This is
Right?
going to be so much fun.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. I think us having Mars in the ninth house, I mean, that's our drive and ambition in life, is to help be the teacher, right? That's who we are
Mm.
as a unit. We are here to teach and help support on those foundational changes and to learn and grow, which look at us doing it.
Yeah.
This is fun. Composite
Ooh.
readings are fun. If you've never done one, I highly recommend it. If you want to get a composite reading done by us, we would love to
Mm.
do that. We have a link for any readings you'd like to do with us in our show notes. And if we don't, well, I'll put one there.
Yeah. And do you feel like, because I definitely do feel this eclipse
Mm,
coming on. The solar eclipse is Saturday in Sweden time.
yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Is it Saturday? It's gonna be Saturday for you as well, maybe in the
I
night.
haven't checked
Maybe Saturday.
exactly.
Yeah. And what I'm feeling with this is just like, because I remember you know, I was waiting to see like what new things was gonna come into my life around this time, and there has been things like mostly work wise, but that is a big part of my life. So, I'm excited to see where this lands, because also with eclipse energy, it's very up in the air. It's very like whirling around, but
Right. And
it
you won't
feels
be able to
exciting right
see it
now.
until a little bit down the road, right? It's almost like you take the puzzle pieces and you zing them up in the air and you let them fall down, and then you get to kind of create the puzzle and see what picture it makes. But the eclipse is when you're flinging it up in the air. So
Yeah,
it's, you won't know for a while what your puzzle pieces actually look like.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think that with this creation vibe as well, I think that's from the eclipse. It just feels very active. It's just it everything feels very active.
Mm-hmm. I'm
I
excited.
mean, yeah, I'm excited too.
I'm digging it. I needed it. I was feeling it. I think, like I said, with my circuitry, my overloaded circuit board. Luckily, my husband has done electrical work, so he understood my metaphor really well. He was like, "Did I do something wrong?" I was like, "It's just a combo of everything that built. It wasn't you. It was I was running on a panel that was for 3 kids, and now I got 5 kids, and I've been trying to patch everything together." And what I found, my panel I do so well when I have quiet creation time. And it doesn't matter if it's painting or if I'm crocheting or if I'm creating a workshop. I just have to have that creation time so I can
Mm,
feel it big time, like pushing me. It's almost like the current is picking up in the water that I'm floating
mm,
in. And I'm like, ooh, we're going faster now. What's going on?
yeah, yeah.
So
But yeah, it's bittersweet too. I mean, there's nice things happening for me, but the world is sort of like on fire.
it is.
I mean, there's wars going on all the time, but now this new thing with Palestine and
Yeah.
Israel is, I mean, it's been going on for
Millennia.
decades and decades and decades and a long time. But this newest thing, and it's just so heartbreaking, and
It is.
it's also the Pluto and Mars that was in the beginning of the week
Yeah.
definitely probably got that going more, and now with this eclipse it's like it makes me feel uncertain how that's gonna land as well.
Well, and Pluto went stationary and is going back direct now as of yesterday.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
that too. So there's like a lot of shifting energies. And, Pluto is transitionary and transformational. And when Mars and Pluto don't have a good conversation, it does have conflict. There is war energy. And, that's when all the media stuff started coming out big time, was that a couple days ago when those
Mm.
energies were having that hard conversation. And I
Yeah.
really feel for all of the families that are just trying to live their life. You don't choose to be stuck in a country that's got conflict. You just want to do right by yourself and your kids. And I
Yeah.
send so much love to them, and try to find, like, Jessica Lanyadoo has a lot of charities and stuff that she works with, of and links and stuff where she has support the people on the ground and whatnot. And I don't have anything quite as creative, but I know there are people out there doing the good work. So do your best to find ways to support any way you can. I know it's tough. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's absolute madness. But yeah, so I feel like this week has been going from like, little triumphs in my life, and then heartbreak for the world. So like going between, it's like, tingly feeling, and then it's like, oh my God, like just so sad.
Yeah.
And up and down, it's very unstable. And I feel like that's typical, like it's very much this eclipse also putting the world in such an unstable sort of vibe.
Yeah. It's really interesting to observe your own specific and then the global energies and how it shows up so uniquely. Well,
Yeah.
sending out all of our love and support to
Yes.
all of the people involved in conflict and war right now, and floods. There's been so much like weather stuff too. Weather changes and flooding, and I know we are having a drought here, and just crazy world changing things. And all we can do is do our best to keep the vibration as high as possible.
Yeah. And this is also just to the moon, your moon sign. This is also somewhere when you feel bad, when your heart is aching, to do something according with your moon sign will help you feel maybe not less sad, but it will help you feel like you emotionally actually did something. Or like for me, for example, because I have my moon in Capricorn, I feel like I need to physically like do something, or like something tangible. And so it's different for all of us, but going there also to see how to help yourself react in these matters as well is also something that you can learn.
Yeah.
Knowing your moon sign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I think it's so important to know how you need to process your emotions, deal with emotions, and emotionally feel fulfilled and like you're doing something that matters. And if we each do a little bit of self-development and personal development, I think we can really raise the vibrational frequency on this planet, and it can really have a huge impact. But it starts within us,
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll let you know when all of the details are out for the Moon Sign Workshop, and we'll be creating the backside and back end soon and get that out. And if you have anyone you'd like to share it with, please share this episode, and they can join the creation process with us.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening, and we will be back next time.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of RamGoatAstrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.